So we were speaking downstairs about fear. And I have shared before that when I was young, so a young child and into the early teenage years, I didn't speak to anyone unless I really had to. It really wasn't my thing. I didn't like people. I was always away. When I came into my early 20s and I met a practitioner, so I was training as well, artwork and alternative therapies, and this practitioner walked up behind me and pushed down my shoulders. I had no idea what she was doing because I had no idea what she could see was going on in the body. And what was going on in the body was this much fear. And she was trying to push down the shoulders. And you can see, like, obviously it's not going on. So the fear can get locked into our body, into our nervous system. The more we engage with our fearful stories and with the mind, the more we reinforce fear. Unhealthy, unwarranted, unnecessary fear. So there is fear that's useful, and we've spoken about this before, as a survival mechanism. You may have an instinct arise in the body that has you take a step back from the curb as that bus comes along, or as you come up to a cliff, maybe there's some sensation that arises that's fear, that has you not take another step, and that ledge is loose. So there are times in our life where fear is useful. As we can see through those examples, it's not very many times that it's warranted, that it's needed, that it's necessary. What we find is that fear is usually running all the time. So you're sitting here in the beanbag or on the chair or on the couch, and yet fear's here. There you go, well, it's like there's no reason for us to be afraid, and yet it's running and we are afraid. So this response, this survival response in our bodies goes into overdrive, hyperdrive, superdrive. So the first thing to do when we're looking at fear is to tell the truth. So telling the truth might be, I'm afraid. Nothing is going on and I'm afraid. When you speak the truth about what's going on, rather than some story that is perpetuating the fear. Can I trust them? I don't know. What is she saying? I don't know what's happening, or what's going to be then, or later, or yesterday, or tomorrow. You know, whatever it is, that's where we need to stop and speak the truth. There's fear here, or I'm afraid, and there's nothing going on. Then we get to open. If our desire, if our resolve is to be true, to be free, then we will open and meet what's here. Because we've made that decision, we've made that deeper inner commitment to be true, to stay still, to discover more deeply the taste of the discovery that you've already discovered. So as we were speaking downstairs, fear comes up and we distract, we avoid, and we talk to ourselves about it. The body moves and shakes. But something doesn't move. So are you willing to give your attention to this that doesn't move, even if the body is shaking with fear? If you notice that you're holding your breath, it's a kindness to the body to soften the breath here. If you notice that you're fidgeting and, you know, agitated and dispelling the fear that way, it's a kindness to the body to stop. So you can see it plays out in different ways. Then in the stopping, we get to discover what's actually here. Now, it may not even be fear. We've been busily telling ourselves that we're afraid and that it is fear, and it may be fear, but we don't know because we've been so busily telling ourselves a story about it, fidgeting it away or holding against it. We haven't discovered it yet, so we don't know what's here. So right now, are you willing to just softly, innocently, gently open to what's actually here? Really innocently to discover what's here. Without telling yourself anything on top, maybe you start to notice the body. So you notice, are you clenching? Are you holding? Are you resisting? Does it feel like, you know, for some of us it can feel like you're away even from your own body. So whatever's going on with the body, are you willing to just notice what's here? And the breath, part of the body, you notice. Are you holding the breath? Are you, you know, having panting and palpitations? You just notice. So if you're holding the breath, you can just take a breath. If your breathing is rapid, you can just take a breath. And then you might start to notice sensations in the body. You may like them or not like them. Doesn't really matter. You just notice them. You notice the body's hot, the body's cold, the body's shivery or shaky or moving or maybe clenching. But you're not adding commentary to that, you're just noticing. And the emotions you notice. Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it silent? See, maybe all the while you've been fearing its fear, maybe when you just stop every movement, it's just quiet. And the thoughts will come. So it's not about stopping the thoughts from coming. They'll come, they'll go. You just don't need to follow them. You don't need to engage with them. So the thoughts can do whatever they're doing. The emotions will just reveal themselves. The sensations in the body will be as they are. And you let your awareness be pinpointed here. Wide open and riveted to the moment. There's no efforting in this. It's as though who you thought you were, that you were holding together, becomes wider, as though there's space now. And at the same time as this becomes wider, this opening becomes wider, your attention is also pinpointed here. It's why the mind is useless, because the mind can't fathom being wide and pinpointed at the same time, because it doesn't make any sense. So if you're sitting here trying to make sense of it, you can just stop following that thought as well. Maybe you notice the lightness. Fear is this energy of contraction. But there's something aware of the fear. So you give your attention to this that's aware of the fear. And then this that's aware of the fear is also appearing in something, out of something, arising from something that doesn't come and go. this silent, aware grace that we could call God or consciousness or peace. Maybe it's so silent, so still that you can't call it anything.